Welcome everybody to the Gen 3 era of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. New drivers, new circuits, new teams, and a brand new car for this 2023 season. And we're here in Mexico City for the first race of the campaign. We are very, very excited to see this championship get underway. 22 cars dueling it out to win the Season 9 Formula E World Championship title. There's a look at downtown Mexico City, about a 15-minute drive if you're lucky, about an hour-and-a-half drive if you're unlucky, and it's a wonderful place to kick off the season. The first time that Formula E has started outside the Asian continent. We are here in North America for the action this weekend, and after this we head to Diriyah, which has been the opening race of the season since season 5, but it's a double header for rounds 2 and 3 at the end of January. Hyderabad in India, a new event in early February. Cape Town in South Africa, a new event. Sao Paulo, a new event. Then we're back to Tempelhof for a double header. Monaco on the 6th of May, 2 in Jakarta, another new race in Portland in the United States, and then double headers in Rome and London to round off the 16-race season. So, the drivers getting ready to have their first meaningful timed running of the season. Mitch Evans at Jaguar TCS Racing. René Rast returning for the Neom McLaren team after a season with Audi a couple of years ago. Jake Dennis, a very exciting driver with Avalanche Andretti as he looks to maybe fight for the title this year after being close the last few seasons. Jean-Eric Verne is at DS Penske alongside the reigning champion Stoffel van Dorn. And the full list of drivers that are going to be competing is here, and they are in number order. The number 1, the reigning champ, Stoffel van Dorn. Robin Freitz has moved to the Abt Cupra team, who are a returning entry, having been part of the Audi squad for many years. Jake Hughes is making his Formula E debut. Jaguar TCS Racing with Mitch Evans and Sam Bird, the only team to have the same driver lineup as last season. Lucas de Grassi's moved to Mahindra. Antonio Felix da Costa has moved to Porsche. Sebastian Buemi then in the Envision racing team. He's left Edams, the 2 Nissans of Norman Nato and Sasha Fenestraz, new teammates there. Jean-Eric Verne at DS Penske, as I said. Eduardo Mortara still at Maserati. Nico Muller's back in the series, as is René Rast. Andre Lotterer has moved from Porsche to Avalanche Andretti, who are now a Porsche customer team. It's all fairly simple. It'll be absolutely no problem telling these cars apart over the next half an hour, but don't worry, we'll get through it together, I promise. Here's a look at the circuit in Mexico City, slightly adjusted from last season. There's the Zocalo, the historic center of Mexico City, and we are a couple of miles southeast at the circuit Hermanos Rodriguez. The long run down towards the first corner is still the same, 90-degree right, and then that leads into this long sweeping right-hander of turn 2. Then we come into the loop at turns 5 and 6, and then back down towards the new chicane for this season at turns 9, 10 and 11. Back into the Foro Sol Baseball Stadium, where tens of thousands of fans will be tomorrow watching the action unfold, and then through the final corner at the Peraltada and across the line, and that is a lap of this 2.63 kilometer, 19-turn Mexico City E-Prix circuit. So everybody now getting ready to go, getting ready for this first half an hour of running. The track temperature 29 degrees, air temperature 20 degrees, but in the shade it's pretty chilly, I have to say. But alongside me, very warm in fact, here is Oliver Askew, the former Andretti driver, because he's all in his Nomex and racing gear, fresh out of the new Gen 3 Formula E car. How'd you find it?
First of all, thank you for having me. Good to be here in the booth with you, Jack. Yeah, unbelievable experience to finally get my hands on the Gen 3 car. I did a couple laps here. Still shaking a bit. I mean, it's plenty powerful.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing these guys in anger here. Look at them all.
Yeah, here we go. Cars out on circuit then, straight out. The McLaren's at the front of the queue because they took over Mercedes entry, so they actually get the front of the queue at pit lane exit. So that'll be good for them over the course of the season. And you can learn the cars with us as they pour out of the pits. There go the Porsches up in towards this left-hander of turn 3. And so this Gen 3 car looks very different to the Gen 2 car. It's very different under the hood as well. Way more power, from 250 kilowatts maximum power last year. It's 350 kilowatts this year. And even in their slowest, in inverted commas, mode, their least powerful mode, they're going to be running at 300 kilowatts, which is 50 kilowatts more than last season. The car is lighter as well, and it'll be moving around a lot more. You can already see Eduardo Mortara moving it around. New Hankook tyres for this year too, which have got the really cool sort of red and blue ribbons around the rubber, which is nice. And free practice 1 taking place on a Friday as well. So thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. Hashtag Mexico City E-Prix if you want to get in touch over the course of the weekend, if you have any questions about this new car that we don't answer. But here we go then, out over the start-finish straight. Interesting, Jake Hughes stays on circuit. Rene Rast returns to the pits for the Neon McLaren team. And there is Ian James, the team principal. Zach Brown alongside him, the boss of McLaren. So they're all here for their debut in Formula E, which is, I mean, it's so cool to have McLaren in the series on.
Definitely very cool, and a bunch of new drivers, some returning drivers from years past.
Focus on tyres and brakes.
Some different tech, as we see. We're speaking about the Hankook tires, a much harder compound than last year's Michelin, and I think we can expect these drivers to stay on track for much longer. It's not as thermally limited as the tires last year. So they're going to be building heat through the session. We can see these times start to drop here, and you can see the car with more power dance as the car leaves the corner, struggling for traction. As we see Rene Rast here through the stadium section. That's going to be absolutely packed with fans tomorrow. They're going to be making a lot of noise.
Yeah, absolutely. No admission today for the public, just this first free practice session, but they'll be here bright and early tomorrow morning. Free practice 1 getting underway, free practice 2, sorry, getting underway at 7:30 in the morning. Rene Rast, a podium finisher in Mexico, second in Puebla in season 7 when he was driving for the Audi team. As he comes across the line, down towards turn 1, his teammate Jake Hughes is back in the pits, so I think I got it wrong earlier, didn't I? I said straight away, my first car identification got it wrong. So Rast stayed out, and Hughes returned to the pit lane, through the left-hander of turn 3 now, and up towards the loop at 5 and 6. Really, when we watched you out there, and I'm seeing the same, just wheel spin everywhere. There's so much power in that car.
Between turns 3 and 4, I mean, if you look at it, it's quite a long straight. But the amount of time that you're on full power has got to be, what, 10 meters?
Really?
Because you're just feeding the throttle in all the way through. And we can expect that to gain grip as these cars lay some rubber on the circuit here. And I mean, these two drivers at McLaren have the same helmet, so I can understand why you misunderstood them.
Yeah, 26 minutes and 10 seconds to go. The times are on the left-hand side, but as Oliver says, they're just going to come down and down, so we won't get too worked up about hot laps at the moment as Rene Rast comes through the final corner in the McLaren and out across the line. Lotter has done a 1 minute 18.761 at the moment, and Rast is 9/10 of a second slower than that as he comes across the line. The man behind him, Eduardo Mortara, jumped to the times briefly, then Evans jumped to the times, so, and now Buemi jumps up into second place. Now Verline goes top, so I think that's why we won't be paying too much attention to the lap times in these early stages. There's the Maserati MSG team. New team principal James Rossiter is the man on the right-hand side at the back of those three, and it's still the same Venturi team. They've just renamed themselves as Maserati Sports Group, and Monaco Sports Group, and they've joined with Maserati to create Maserati MSG Racing. So that's Mortara in the blue car there with the yellow camera roll hoop at the top there. So he is a driver who's been a front runner for a few years, nearly took pole position here in Mexico City last year, but had a big slide coming out of the final corner, ended up lining up second on the grid, but he's a very quick competitor, and full course yellow is deployed. So this will just be to make sure all the systems are in place and all of the marshals are aware of what's going on. Hugely experienced, the Mexico City marshals, not only here but with the Formula 1 Grand Prix as well. And this is just to test the systems, and then everybody will get back on their way. But I think maybe Maserati left Valencia as as favourites. They were certainly very quick, especially Max Günther, but he's a bit of a Valencia specialist, but they're going to be front runners, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we can expect some of the teams that were not quite on pace in Valencia to figure it out, right? This is a new generation of car. In any race series in the world, when they introduce a new car, not to mention this one is much more technologically advanced than any race car we've ever seen, we can expect teams to start figuring out in the competition and times to get much closer. So, of course, as you mentioned, Maserati hitting the ground running in Valencia. We can expect them to be competitive here.
So, Callum saying these cars look like missiles at the moment, and a lot of others noting how quick these cars look, especially down that start-finish straight. They are moving. That is Max Günther, who I mentioned a moment ago, quickest in pre-season testing in Valencia. Joins the Maserati team after a tricky year with Nissan. He's just in front of Pascal Wehrlein on circuit in the Porsche. So the blue with the light blue helmet, that is Max Günther there. 3 race wins in his Formula E career, and he's up behind Mitch Evans in the Jaguar. Jaguar have gone for a repaint this year, black and white for the Jaguar team, as opposed to the they had an official name for it, I can't remember, but the sort of teal and grey look that they've had in their first few seasons in the championship, as Günther in the Maserati comes around the final corner and across the line. And what does Günther do? 2.4 seconds off the pace at the moment. But up ahead of him is that Jaguar of Mitch Evans. And Evans and the Jaguar team felt reasonably confident. There is James Barkley. They've been in the running for the last few seasons. And there's so many people on this grid that I could say this for, but they're thinking maybe this will finally be our year.
They have such a stacked team between the two drivers, a wealth of experience. And we were talking about earlier, you know, which teams have the best driver lineup, at least with the most experience. And, you know, between DS and Jaguar, I think they're the front-running pairings at the moment.
Phosphor blue was the old colour, but none of that. It's black and white now. Much more simple.
Interesting to see how close these guys are running right now. Maybe getting a feel for any sort of aero wash that these cars might have in the high-speed corners, or maybe using the cars in front as a reference to kind of see, you know, where they can gain and lose time, you know, to the competitors early on. It's so important here in Free Practice 1 to just get out there, get running, see you know, see where your strengths and weaknesses are, not only for the teams, but for the drivers, just to have an understanding of where to extract the lap time out of these brand new race cars.
There is Phil Charles, the chief engineer at the Jaguar team, on the right-hand side. James Barkley on the left, the team's principal, with 21 minutes and 20 seconds to go. This is a look at Eduardo Mortara attacking the curbs, and this is Mitch Evans attacking the curbs, and this is Max Günther attacking the curbs, and then there's Pascal Wehrlein coming through, and guess what? Attacking the curbs.
It's an epic camera angle there.
Yeah, it's good stuff, isn't it? Here's the envision of Sebastian Buemi now coming into the Foro Sol baseball stadium. No, he's at the chicane, my apologies. So just coming through the chicane there for Buemi at 9 and 10. And this is his first race with Envision. It's his first Formula E race not with the EDAMS team. In fact, the EDAMS team not part of Formula E anymore, because the Nissan that you can just see there coming through, Nissan bought the Nissan,
but it's
the
not
EDAMS
combined,
team
so I don't know
out.
if
Here's
that is
Buemi's
the right
radio.
thing to do.
20.5 minutes to go. Buemi's quickest at the moment, 15.0, and it's pretty tight already, isn't it? Only less than half a second covering the top 6. And Sam Bird has only just left the pit lane. So Sam Bird's been in the pits for most of this session so far. He's on an outlap now, so we'll see what happens. There's a yellow flag out there. Here's Jean-Eric Verne coming through the final corner. They look quick through that final turn, don't they? Did it feel quick?
They do, yes. Very, very well balanced from the cars rolling through there. Interesting. It could be a different tire strategy from Bird. I know that these tires perform well brand new, contrary to the Michelins in the past.
19 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Verne coming through that tight right-hand side. They move so much. I love it. Love it. 19 minutes, and oh, and a big slide through the chicane from Jean-Eric Verne. Great stuff. I mean, not great for him, but great for us as he comes into the stadium section now, really finding the edges of grip, I suppose.
That's what you want to do
yeah.
right away. You don't want to be having those moments in qualifying, right? So he's finding the edge early on. He's still pushing.
Yeah.
He's going to close the lap here. We'll see. He's got a personal best in Sector 1.
Yeah, he's almost 2/10 up on Mitch Evans here, so this might be top of the times for Jean-Eric Verne through the final corner, and it is a 1 minute 14.823, over a 10th quicker than Mitch Evans. So approaching the halfway point. Here's a look at the slide again from Verne.
That's at least 3/10 there, huh? What do you think?
Yeah.
So he's got more in the tank, taking quite a bit of curve there, and these cars can do that. They're mechanically very soft. Probably have both anti-roll bars disconnected, soft springs.
Pascal Wehrlein is the quickest driver so far on a 14.6, so he's gone back to the top of the times. That's the DS Penske team, and there is the Porsche squad. Kyle Wilson-Clark nearest towards us. He is Pascal Wehrlein's race engineer, and here is the Porsche now, coming up towards turns 5 and 6. Quickest driver so far. Hughes up there in the McLaren in 6th position, and we go on board with Pascal Wehrlein. I love their logos on the, or their catchphrases on the halo. Pascal La Vista, baby. Very good. They're always very clever. Losser has returned to the pits in the other Porsche, and Wehrlein is now coming into the stadium section. Nico Muller's just on the fastest middle sector in the apt, but again, the lap times will continue to drop. See whether Pascal returns to the pit lane or stays out this time. Muller jumps up to 8th place in the and through the final corner, and he's staying out, I think.
And stay on
Here's
energy
Wehrlein's
save.
radio.
One more full lap energy save next.
Down towards turn 1, less than 17 minutes to go. Dennis to the top of the times now for Andretti. So a Porsche 1-2-4 at the moment, which is not too bad. Not fully, a few question marks, I think, over Porsche after pre-season testing. Here's Sergio Sette Camera. Great to see him still on the grid. I was surprised that none of the other teams sort of took, like McLaren or something, didn't take a look at Sette Camera, because he showed real pace last season.
Definitely a driver who extracts everything out of his equipment, and not someone who I enjoyed seeing in my mirrors at any point last year. Extremely aggressive, but a fair driver as well. So yeah, Porsche's up at the time right now. They weren't very competitive in Valencia, but as I said, so much development between then and now. Well, big slide from Sette Camara in the final sector.
He's back through the final corner, almost sliding a bit there, halfway through the Perotada. You can hear the tyres crying out for a bit more grip, and he gets across the line and comes down towards turn 1. Then through comes the Porsche, and then comes Stoffel Vandoorne. Here's a look at Pascal Wehrlein down towards turn 1, onto the brakes, through the right, whoa, and bails out of that one.
It's a quick reflex there. You know,
yeah.
Who knows what would have happened there if he would have kept in it. So he lives to fight another day. So important to run all the laps here in this early session. As I said, you don't want to be on the back foot in any way.
He joins the circuit, and here we get another look at it down into the first corner. We've seen cars get so close to that wall on the exit. I think Nico Muller ended up in the wall there in season 6. This is Stoffel Vandoorne, reigning champion, currently 19th fastest. De Grassi just jumps up into 5th place, but it's so interesting because what is the focus, or what was the focus last year on, you know, fast laps, energy recovery laps? It's going to be different when you're trying to learn a new car, I guess.
Definitely. Every team right now has their own program, their own schedule, and they're just trying to stick to that. So who knows? Stoffel could possibly be doing race running early in the session here. At least he has some good data. Vern P1 at the moment, his teammate. I'm sure they can understand where his limiting factors lie.
I feel like that's my main issue, a little bit rear locking in turn 9 as well.
So rear locking into turn 9, says Stoffel van Dorn, which is the chicane.
The new chicane on the back straightaway, so that should be a pretty quick fix from these guys at DS Penske.
Here's Norman Nato in the Nissan. The first time that Nissan have entered as a full Japanese single team rather than partnering with EDAMS. And they've signed Norman Nato and Sasha Fenestraz for the occasion. That's why you've got the cherry blossom on the Nissan to represent their Japanese heritage. And Norman Nato won his last Formula E race, in actual fact, in season 7 in Berlin. Had the year off in season 8, being the reserve driver for Jaguar, but now he's back in a race seat, is Norman. Very popular man within the paddock. I hear his weekend getaways are very fun to be a part of, as he now swings it through the... that was probably off the record when I got told that, wasn't it? Through the long left-hander inside the stadium section and back out onto the circuit. He did actually race in Seoul, didn't he? He filled in for Sam Bird, so that fact isn't true. So apologies.
Along with his teammate, Sasha.
Yeah.
Both competed in the final round in Seoul last year, so still quite fresh.
Yeah. And he did actually a good job in Seoul, I thought, Norman Nato, considering he was chucked in at the deep end. Here's a look at Sam Bird into the first corner, and he too bails out of it and then gets going again, and someone follows him off. That's Dan Ticktum in the Neo, bailing out of it as well down at the first corner. So that's one where you have got, but you've got to react. If you go in half-hearted, you're in the barrier, I suppose. And it maybe Ticktum even got a bit distracted by Bird going off ahead of him. So here's a look at it again. Straight on for Bird. Straight on for Ticktum. Vern's still quickest on a 14.051. Nick Cassidy back in the pits then for the Envision team. Less than 12 minutes to go. When Van Dorn was talking about the rear locking, it's worth pointing out that almost all of the braking now for these cars is done through regen. So the sort of, as we look at Robin Freitz in the Abt Cupra, and does that make braking and finding a good brake balance sort of easier or harder, or doesn't make a difference? It's still the same principle.
What's very unique about Formula E is that you have corner dependencies. So Stoffel can go in, and like he said, he mentioned turn 9 to his engineer, some rear locking. They can specifically go in to the software and change the brake balance.
Somewhere on track to turn 1, etc.
So I think Freitz was asked if there was any touching into turn 1. I presume they're talking about bottoming out there.
Yeah, you typically want to set the ride height to the heaviest braking corner on the track, which turn 1 may be. It's definitely the highest approach speed.
Tony says, using the hashtag Mexico City E-Prix, being impartial commentators, can you give me a bet as to who will win the championship because of the cost of living? I could do with a windfall. I don't know.
If this was Gen 2, you would have an idea.
Yeah,
but now
exactly.
it's such a clean slate, we have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong with someone like a Van Dorn. He's done it. You know, he has the confidence.
It's tough to bet against him, isn't it? But you'd be brave to. But got to be done. 10 minutes and 12 seconds to go. And there is Thomas Biermeier on the right and Fred Espinas on the left, in charge of running the Abt Formula E team. And this is Jake Hughes, the McLaren driver. Formula E debut this weekend, but he was part of the Mercedes EQ team last year, reserve driver for them, the 28-year-old British driver from Birmingham. And he's won races in Formula 3, he's raced in Formula 2, and we'll see what he can do here. Evans goes to the top of the times on a 1 minute 13.895, a tenth and a half quicker than Vern. But yeah, interested to see what Hughes can do with 9.5 minutes to go. the Neon McLaren team watching him coming into the stadium section. But again, it's not going to be, you know, the car's the same for everyone, and he's been with a team for 2 seasons, part of that McLaren and Venturi setup. So it's not quite being thrown in the deep end, I don't think.
There's no better time for a rookie to join the series, in my opinion. He's learning along with other drivers in the series and has a wealth of knowledge in simulation. So I think that's going to fare well for Hughes.
And he goes quickest, a 1:13.737. That is Oliver Askew, the former Andretti driver from last season, alongside me in commentary here this weekend. Great to have Oliver with us. There's his teammate from last year, Jake Dennis, coming into the chicane and now making his way out towards the stadium section. Dennis is currently 9th fastest as he comes into the stadium section now. You got along well with Jake, it seemed.
Yeah, no offense, Jack, but I'd much rather be on track. I'd say this is the second best seat in the house.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, me or Dennis as a teammate, which is the better teammate?
Oh. Jake has to be a bit quicker, right?
Yeah, oh, quicker, yeah, for sure. But he's a bit boring.
You have more banter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He thinks he's got the banter, but he doesn't have any.
No, we got along well, really well last year. Super talented driver. I mentioned the importance of being quick in a simulator and providing good feedback to the engineers. Such a huge part of top-level motorsports these days. Or should I say electric racing.
Just ahead of Dennis on circuit is the Porsche of Antonio Felix da Costa. There's Roger Griffiths, the Avalanche Andretti team principal, in the garage, watching Dennis in 9th and Lotterer currently 21st.
Crypto this lap, try to open up, entry T9, more to the left, entry T9.
So that's interesting. That is Dennis's engineer, Sean McGill, giving him a little bit of try and open up turn 9. So what's that? That's the chicane? Open that up a little bit more?
Yes. So a wider entry, maybe a later apex of turn 9, allowing him to get a better throttle down on the exit of 10. So just a pretty good piece of information there from Sean McGill. Switched on engineer.
What does crypto this lap mean?
Man, I have no idea. They have all kinds
take attack mode now?
of code words that these drivers need to.
They've changed them since last season.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the other teams, they catch on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We study radios. You know, it's so competitive in the series.
Yeah. That was Da Costa taking attack mode there. Maybe they've just changed it all because they knew you were doing commentary, and they were like, well, we've got to change all our radio messages now.
They don't trust me.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oliver will give all our secrets away. Now, a very positive...
Try to create a gap to Dennis and then push next lap.
So Da Costa being told to create a gap and then push by his engineer, Marius Meyer-Dietrich. Now, Neo are a positive story here. Sete Camera 5th, and Dan Ticktum, who we're looking at here, is in 6th. Well, he's just got shuffled down to 7th, but this is great from Neo. There were early whispers from private testing that maybe they were doing okay. Oh, someone's off in the runoff area, and no idea who, but they'll rejoin the circuit in a moment. But yeah, I think it was Jake Dennis actually. But Neo have finished bottom of the team's championship 4 of the last 5 seasons, but 5th and 7th for Sete Camera and Ticktum. So that's really positive. It was Lotterer who spun, sorry, and that's Sam Bird missing the apex of turn 1 again. But that's a second one for Sam Bird down at turn 1. But really great for Neo to see them in the mix a little bit.
Definitely, and they're one of those teams that started their development for Gen 3 early on in seasons past. So they've started this project a long time ago. Yeah. It'd be really interesting to see if they have a leg up on their competition.
Ticktum telling me that yesterday Neo have got big plans for the next sort of 3 years in the championship, so he's very excited about their future as he comes through the final corner now. The British driver, less than 5 minutes to go in the session. It's still it's Jean-Eric Verne who's now quickest. So on that last lap, Verne came across the line to go fastest on a 1 minute 13.294. There is the the Neo squad. See them on the radio to the engineers.
So the big chunk of the track progression has already been done. I think these times that we see now can be representative of the weekend to come. Obviously, we'll see here in the closing minutes, guys start to put everything together.
Yeah. 4 minutes to go. Di Grassi coming through the middle part of the circuit now. He's joined Mahindra for this season, Lucas Di Grassi, the Season 3 champion now with the Indian outfit, and I'm so interested to see what he can do there, because he's the kind of guy who's going to come in and take that team by the scruff of the neck and get stuff done, I feel.
In my opinion, maybe not the fastest driver on outlap pace in qualifying, but in the race, man, he is an animal. He is so fast, while conserving energy and having a leg up on the competition at the end with maybe 1 or 2% more. Really, it's just given his experience in the series. I mean, he's been here for such a long time and understands how the game works.
Here's a look at, whoa, Rene Rast. Has he got on the dirt on the exit of the final corner there? And then he's broken the left rear and gone back into the pits.
That's not a way to re-enter the track and try to get it back into the pits there.
Big moment there for Rene Rast. There's the damage to the Hankook tyre and to the rear left suspension for the McLaren team. Doesn't look as though he looks like he's got away without damaging the bodywork, but suspension and wheel definitely damaged.
I wouldn't be surprised if the stewards have a look at that there. Maybe an unsafe re-entry. He's lucky that there wasn't a car closer to him. Yeah. But yeah, he was following a car there. Maybe caught some dirty air, or it was definitely a bit wide in the marbles. I'll be interested to see how these Hankook tires throw marbles on the outside of the track. Yeah. That's the type of corner, the last corner here, very high speed, where it's going to get dirty on the outside. So definitely a learning experience for him.
For sure. Here's Oliver Rowland. He did the fastest first sector of anyone. In the end, he ends up 3 seconds adrift, but a very quick first sector for Rowland that time. Less than 2 minutes to go. And his teammate Di Grassi on the push lap. Here's Rowland's radio.
Keep suggest BB -1 from where you are.
So brake bias -1 from where he is. A suggestion from the pit wall. So that's more rearwards. Maybe something that they see in the data now that they've been able to plug in and do some research while he's on track. So a good piece of information there from the engineers.
Here's Jake Dennis, personal best in sectors 1 and 2. Could get up into the sort of top 5 here, Dennis. In the Avalanche Andretti, it's only 8th. 6/10 away from Jean-Eric Verne at the moment. Jake Hughes still there in 2nd. Sete Cameras got back up into 3rd. With Verline in 4th, Mortara 5th. The Nissan's struggling in 18th and 19th, especially compared to the McLarens, who are up there in 2nd and 11th, and they share the same powertrain as Roger Griffiths watches on. Less than a minute to go. Here is Nico Muller, struggling a little bit through turn 3. 20th fastest at the moment, but it's going to be a difficult year. Rear's getting lively for Muller, but they've got the Mahindra powertrain, which, as you can see, is currently 12th and 22nd fastest, and they're a customer too, so expecting to be a little behind the curve, I think, Apt, in the early stages of the season.
He'll get another lap here, 30 seconds left in FP1. One of the circuits on the calendar that is so combined, and what I mean by that is most of these corners are both turning and braking at the same time, on throttle and turning at the same time, so asking a lot of the tires. So brake bias and traction is extremely important at a track like this.
So checker flag is out. Jean-Eric Verne quickest at the moment. Through the final corner comes Muller, and he remains in 20th place.
I cannot get the rear back. I lock the rear all the time, everywhere.
Well, there we go. Undrivable, says Nico Muller. Here comes Eduardo Mortara. Hughes is on an improving lap as well. Mortara in the Maserati across the line remains in 5th place. Out of the final corner comes Van Dorn. He goes 5th fastest. And Tictum finishes in 9th position. Verne takes the checkered flag. Is Hughes going to improve? No, he's not. He remains in 2nd place. Here's Sam Bird. Looked like he had a bit of traffic through the middle section. In fact, he's 4 seconds away, is Sam Bird. So not on a outright push lap here as he comes through the final corner and across the line. And Bird finishes in 12th, Evans in 7th. Sete Camera's going to finish in 3rd. Vernon Hughes with a big jump up at the head of the order. René Rast climbs out of the McLaren after hitting the rear left of the car, and he goes to have a look at the rear left. James Rossiter, team principal of Maserati. And that is the conclusion. I think everyone's finished their lap, haven't they? They have. So that's the end of free practice 1. Verne looking quick for DS Techeetah. That's not a surprise. I'm a bit of
body work there.
And that's a bit of Mahindra, isn't it, with the ZF sponsorship? So, I mean, if I had to bet, I'd say Roland. Was it Roland? Of course it was. Here comes Ollie, all sideways, and he's having a fairly heavy hit with the wall there. That's going to do the left front, I think. I think you can see the suspension snapped there. So Roland's sending it in deep, and that is the end of. Oh, and then he's done a nice big spin burnout to get back going again, but damage to the front of Roland's car. So, look, it's only free practice 1, but Verne up the front, I'm not surprised. Impressed by McLaren and Hughes.
Very impressed.
Really impressed by Neo. We're going to get some practice starts here, but overall, a very interesting session.
Very jumbled.
Yeah. There's no, like, pattern, is there? There's no sort of 2x2. We saw you, and we'll see this in the pre-race show tomorrow. How many burnouts did you do down the pit lane? You loved it.
Well, that was your
I know,
your
but
tip.
I didn't expect you to do it.
Come on.
It was great. But
I did one in front of my old garage.
Yeah, it was
Just
great.
to have some fun.
But it seems like you can really get some. I mean, look at these burnouts, and they're only doing little short ones here. But if you give it some beans, it's going to be really interesting off the line, these cars.
The more temperature you can get into these tires, the more grippy they're going to be. So that's the idea behind doing the burnouts, and yeah, obviously extremely important at the start of these races to get a good launch off the line and not have any initial wheel spin. Otherwise, they'll get swallowed.
So the practice starts ongoing. I'm going to release Oliver Askew now, because in 7 minutes' time, you'll be able to watch him on the FE show, which will be starting.
I gotta get changed.
Exactly. Well, that's what I thought. Normally it was like, oh, it'll be all right, but he's in a full race suit, so you can't be going full kit on the broadcast. So yeah, make sure you join Oliver and Vernon, and well, I think I'm doing some stuff as well. So the whole gang in about 6 minutes' time across Formula E socials. So check that out, and we'll have a preview to the season. Basically, we'll be speaking to some drivers and some team principals and some fans, and should be a lot of fun. But here's a look at the results of the first practice session of the Gen 3 era, and it's Jean-Eric Verne, the 2-time champion, who is at the top of the times on a 1 minute 13.294. Jake Hughes second quickest, just less than a tenth of a second away on his debut session in Formula E. Very impressive. Third is Sergio Sete Camera in the Neo. Fourth is Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche. Then it's Van Dorn in fifth, half a second away from his teammate in the DS Penske. Mortara in sixth, Evans, Dennis, Tictum and Max Günther completing the top 10. René Rast in 11th place after hitting the wall earlier on, or late on in the session really. 12th for Sam Bird and the Jaguar TCS Racing Team. 13th for Lucas de Grassi, the quickest of the Mahindra-powered cars. The Envisions with the Jaguar powertrains in 16th and 17th. Nick Cassidy a couple of tenths ahead of Sebastian Buemi. The two Nissans 18th and 19th. Muller, Freitz and Roland completing the 22 drivers. So that is free practice 1 in the books. A little chat between Zach Brown and Ian James. New boss for Ian James. Toto Wolff was his boss last season. Now he's got Zach Brown. And there's René Rast straight into the debrief. Lucas de Grassi having a look at the data for the Mahindra team. 13th fastest, 9 tenths away from Jean-Eric Verne. 3 tenths in sector 1, 3 tenths in sector 2. and 3/10 in sector 3, so an even 3/10 all around. Nico Müller in the pits for the Abt Cupra squad, still having a discussion on the radio to his engineer, which is Felix Fechner, who was Daniel Abt's engineer all those years ago for the Audi Abt team. And Sam Bird hopping out of his Jaguar, 12th quickest. Slower than Mitch Evans, but by a couple of tenths of a second. Removes his gloves, and hopefully we might be hearing from him in that in the FE show in a few moments. Askew's got changed and is looking sharp and is heading out to get involved in the show. So as I say, that starts in a little over 3 minutes. Basically, as soon as we're off air, go on the Formula E socials and have a watch of that. Antonio Felix da Costa getting pushed back into the garage. Very positive for Porsche, that, with Wehrlein in 4th, because they're a bit of an unknown, I think, the Porsche squad, for one of the sort of big manufacturers that are involved in the series. Jean-Eric Vergne quickest, though, the 2-time champion in 2018 and 2019. He's looking fairly happy, isn't he, after that? He's got a tough teammate in Stoffel Vandoorne, but managed to beat him in the first session of the season. So, cars back out on circuit again. 5 months after the end of the season in Seoul, we had action again in the new Gen 3 cars, and goodness me, they looked quick out there. Ian James watching as his McLarens looked quick. Bit of a slide and a bollard clobber for, I think it was Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche. Andre Lotterer a little wide at the chicane. And that was Sergio Sene Camera, who would have clobbered the bollard if it hadn't already been clobbered previously. Big slide from Vergne as he came through the chicane. Stoffel Vandoorne ended the session 5th fastest. Bit of a moment there for the Porsche of Pascal Wehrlein at turn 1. Bailed out of it as the rear started to come away from him a little. And then René Rast in the barriers. Spinning the car around and recovering to the pit lane. But that was Rast's session over. His teammate Jake Hughes ended up finishing 2nd fastest, which was impressive. Roland ended up in the barriers too, but it was Jean-Eric Vergne who ended the session quickest. So free practice 1 is in the books. Make sure you join us bright and early, here in Mexico anyway, 7:30 tomorrow morning. There's Jay Penske, team principal of DS Penske, with a little high five with Stoffel Vandoorne. But as I say, free practice 2 gets underway at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Make sure you join us for that. Then it's qualifying at 9:40, and local time, the race gets underway at 2 p.m. Head to the Formula E website. There's a where to watch page to translate it into wherever you are in the world. In less than 1 minute, you can head to the Formula E socials to check out the FE show, which will bring you up to speed with everything you need to know ahead of the weekend that you've got coming in. But Jake Hughes, 2nd in the McLaren, very, very impressive. Buemi only 17th quickest for the Envision Racing team. We'll speak to you tomorrow morning. Looking forward to the Gen 3 era continuing in the Formula E World Championship.
A new season. A new dawn for Formula E.
It's time to unleash the power of Gen 3.
More power,
More speed.
More drama.
Are you ready? Let's go racing.
Hi everyone.
everyone, and welcome to the FE Show. This is brand new. We are giving you a behind-the-scenes look into everything that is Formula E, both on and off the track. I'm Vernon Kay, and I am joined by Oliver Askew and Nikki Shields. Guys, this is a really exciting moment because everything is brand new. Season 9 of the ABB FIA Formula E Championship is something special because we've got a brand new car, we've got new locations, and we've got a handful of new drivers. Nikki, this is exciting. You've been here since day one, since the first ever season. This is a pivotal moment for Formula E.
As you say, Vernon, so many changes. A huge amount of change for all the drivers and the teams to get their head around. We're super excited. You can see behind, we've got the brand new Gen 3 car. It looks absolutely fantastic. And they've basically given the drivers exactly what they wanted. A faster, more powerful, lighter, smaller, more agile car. It has up to 300 kilowatts of power during the race. It can regen twice as much as the Gen 2 car. So we're super excited. Obviously, there's been a huge amount of change up and down the pit lane. We're standing outside Jag. They're the only team out of the 11 teams that haven't changed their driver lineup. We welcome new teams as well. We've got 4 new races on the calendar. Yeah, I think we're pretty pumped.
Yeah,
and of course, we've got Oliver joining us on the dark side.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Oliver, you've gone from behind the steering wheel to now mic in hand. You've taken the car out. Lots of differences from the Gen 2 car to this Gen 3 car. Just explain some of them, if you could, please, to our audience, what the differences are from a driver's perspective.
Much more powerful and less grip. So it's an exciting combination. Much lighter car as well, more technologically advanced. I think we can say it's the most technologically advanced car in the world ever built.
Absolutely.
So super exciting to have that here, and yeah, got my hands on it for the first time about an hour ago, and had some fun with it. Looking forward to having this place packed tomorrow, full of fans, and there's going to be so much energy here. We got to see these cars in action in FP1 for the first time, at least my first time in anger, and yeah, they looked good out there.
All right, well, let's ask. Here he is. Come on, Sam. How are you? Not seen you for a long time.
Good to see you. Come on.
Hey,
Oh,
he's been on holiday.
bit
Look at
sweaty.
that tan. Look at that tan. How are you? Happy birthday.
I haven't been on
birthday.
holiday.
Have you not
I've been
sunbed?
lying down on Ashley Road in.
Thought you'd been on a sunbed, my friend.
I've got a gold membership at Console. So,
Hey, do you know what though, Sam? When you go on a sunbed, at least your feet don't stick out the end. Do you know what I mean? I have a horrible
Every
problem
cloud,
with sunbeds.
every cloud,
Absolutely.
every
So
cloud.
that's where you keep your shoes on.
Exactly.
Never in flip-flops.
All right, Sam, let's cut to the chase, shall we? Straight away, brand new car. You've just been out. You've literally just got out of the car from FP1. What's it like?
Really, really difficult to drive. Super tricky.
Hang on. Let's not start
But
with
it's
the negative.
fun.
Is it fun?
It's fun.
There you
It's
go.
fun.
Right, thank you.
It's fun. Really rewarding if you get it right. Very tricky. It is super tricky. The track is very dusty. But the power is a big hike in performance compared to what we're used to. Obviously, last year we ran at 250. Now we've got 350. That means big speeds in a straight line. And when you outbrake yourself, it's more difficult.
Does that extra awareness about how the car handles, does it change your focus when you're driving it? Like, because you've now got that extra awareness of where the car could or could not end up.
I mean, all of us in this pit lane are used to fast cars.
Yeah.
So it's not out of our comfort zone for us to be going this quick in a straight line. It's the thing that is more difficult this year is just how much software there is in these cars.
Right.
It's a really intricate piece of kit, and getting all the software in the right window is fundamental to you being quick. If one thing's out of the window, then the whole car feels completely out.
Do you know what's really funny is when we started this show, the FE show, we thought, we'll not get really technical about stuff, but let's get into it, Sam. There are so many elements of this car, and they're all made by different people. But the issue is that all the data has to connect with each other, so there has to be a mutual communication between all the parts and the elements of the car, which could be an issue.
Exactly. So we've had on my car then some communication issues with some software where I wasn't quite happy with things, and it really makes the session a lot harder. If everything's in a window, I think the car would be absolutely fantastic. We've just got to do a couple of little tweaks, and I think we could be there.
Nice, very good.
I'm also going to ask you, Dan, because obviously Formula E, we love it because it's a one race day format. But if things go wrong at the start of the day, is it going to be about what driver and what team can just stay focused, not get their knickers in a twist?
It's almost like you've done this before.
Yeah,
Nikki.
well, you know, just a couple of years.
The good news is for us here is that we've got a session Friday night. So now I've got all night to look at the data with the team and discover how I can go from 12th to fastest tomorrow.
Yeah, nice. Sam, you're looking fresh, my friend.
I'm trying.
I saw that Instagram video of you doing pull-ups. Why did you put that out? Just to show off?
I'll show you up, Vernon, to be honest. Show
I mean,
you up.
Look at the pipes,
guns out.
Got some
Absolutely.
guns. Awesome.
Sam, is the car more physical to drive?
Absolutely. Through the last corner, you're really feeling it now. You're like, wow, I'm not sure whether I want to do close to 40 laps down here. It's tough. I'm really sweaty.
As well as working on your physique, you've also been working on your mind. You did a little Insta post, a big shout out to Bill. Tell us about Bill.
He's a fantastic guy. He's worked with some really big names, especially in the football industry. And it's just nice to understand how I can grow and improve as a person. You know, I didn't have a good season last year, and I think I put too much pressure upon myself, and I didn't enjoy my motorsport as much. And going and speaking with somebody has really made me appreciate life and work as well.
Good. Well, I can feel the positivity literally coming off you right now.
That's his suntan. That's his suntan. That's what that is.
It's a glow.
It won't rub off, though,
just quickly, we're here in Mexico City, season opener tomorrow. What's it like racing around here?
I think they have the most passionate fans of anywhere that we go, Vernon. So I'm really excited to go into the Forest Sol on lap 1 and just see what it's like. It'll be really, really noisy. I think it's the perfect place to start the season, and let's get going tomorrow.
All right, good man. Lovely to see you. All the best for the season, my friend.
Cheers.
Love you to bits, you know I do. All right, Darren is actually down at the Forest Sol. Let's go over there.
Oh, okay, go on then. I'm here at the famous Forest Sol Stadium section, which is undoubtedly the most iconic spectator spot on the calendar. Right now, it's nice and peaceful, but don't get it twisted. Come tomorrow, there are going to be 40,000 fans packing out this section, and the atmosphere will be, dare I say, electric. Now, this used to be a baseball stadium, but tomorrow it's going to be our Formula E drivers knocking it out of the park. We have attack mode just over there at turn 15, which is going to give the drivers an extra 50 kilowatts boost of power, and that extra energy will most definitely come useful in lining up an overtake down at the start-finish straight. But this is definitely a spot with some complex turns, so you can guarantee lots of action, plenty of noise from the fans. But until then, I think it's only right for me to enjoy the peace and calmness before all of the madness tomorrow.
All right, Oliver, talk us about the Forest Sol. Talk to us about that, sorry. What's it like driving around there? Because these cars are quite quiet, so therefore as a driver, I would imagine you can hear the screaming crowd.
So this was my second race last year, and the first big crowd that I saw here in Formula E, and for the first time ever, I could hear the crowd before the lights went out, before we went green, and that just gave me so much energy. I think it's the same for other drivers. Maybe gives you a bit more nerves. You feel like there's more eyes on you.
Does it feel like a 12th man? You know, people talk in team sports, oh, we've got the 12th man, the crowd are going crazy. Does it feel like that?
Definitely, yeah. Definitely. And both here on the front straightaway, and we talk about the stadium section where we take attack mode, you can hear that crowd and their energy, and it really pushes you on to go quicker and go better.
Yeah, nice. Let's bring in Josh Denzel, one of our Formula E ambassadors.
What's happening, boys?
How you doing, my friend?
I'm very good.
Nice to see you. We're in Mexico. It's an amazing city. It really is. But as a Formula E ambassador, you've been out and you've got a vibe. What's it like? Just talk to us about the atmosphere at the moment with a brand new car.
Do you know what? It's so exciting because I've done quite a lot with Formula E, and I've got to have the sneak peek at the Gen 3 car. So I've been kind of buzzing for this race to kick off the season and find out. I've been speaking to some of the drivers about what it's like to drive. I've heard it's going to be interesting. I think you're going to get some, tasty, exactly. You're going to get some interesting racing. So I'm just super excited. There's definitely a buzz here, and you know, all you hear about is how passionate the fans are, and the fact that they're going to be queuing outside the doors from 7 o'clock tomorrow, ready for the race. You get a Mexican wave every time the car goes past. So no, I'm absolutely buzzing.
Well, last time out, we saw you with Nick Cassidy, I do believe it was, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, and you do some football. Now, I did exactly the same in New York, but with Daniel Jones, the quarterback of the New York Giants. So let's take a look at you with Trent. Really impressive stuff, especially with Nick, because Nick's like, he's banged on point when it comes to his driving, his precision.
There was some real pressure, because you've got Trent on one side, and he's delivering in like inch perfect. You've got Nick, who's got exactly the right mark. And who heads the ball with a car? I've never seen that. It's got to get past the keeper. The keeper did, you know, it might not have been the best keeper in the world, but I'm telling you, it was incredible to watch, because you're in the middle of the XL, and this car's going at 60, 70 kilometers an hour, like directly towards the post, and it was honestly, it was unreal to see. And it's like when would you ever get to experience that or see that?
Exactly. Now, there's something I do want to talk to you about. We talked to Sam Bird earlier on, and he's had some psych help.
Okay.
And you spend a lot of time with professional footballers, soccer players. You were with the England squad during the World Cup. How does that element of their professional sports aid them on the field?
Like when you speak to some of the boys, the high pressure situation, imagine it's like in a team sport, you know, especially like football, it's you and your 10 mates, and if you make a little mistake, it affects everyone. But that also is the same in a driving way. It's just you.
Yeah.
If you mess up, that's on you. That's your race done. So I think that having that mental strength and that ability to kind of, the more things when you speak to the boys is about being able to compartmentalize mistakes and not let that affect you for the rest of the game or for the rest of the race. If you miss the apex into a corner or if you miss a penalty or whatever it may be, it's being able to go, hang on a minute, I'm not that I can come back from this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tomorrow's a new day.
Tomorrow's a new day, exactly.
Yeah.
Or the next 2 seconds, this next corner's a new day, as it were. But I think having that, I think the best sports people have the strongest mentality, you know, in terms of being able just to kind of just any obstacle, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, just be able to kind of blast past.
Absolutely.
So what's your prediction for the race here in Mexico City?
Oh,
Now
that's
that
a
you're
big
here
question.
on the ground,
Yeah.
you've seen FP1, you've seen who's quick.
Well, we know that Josh is a data guy, so he's going to get reams and reams of data from one of the teams.
Like
Go through it tonight.
up here,
he's not going to hit the tone. He's going to stay in his room all night.
Yeah, I won't see you out either. Don't worry about that. But you know what? I'm this year and previous years, I'm in vision through and through.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to say it's going to be a Nick and Seb 1-2.
Nice.
Yeah,
right.
that's it. That's crunching the numbers.
You're loyal.
That's data driven, by the way.
Well, and it's on tape. We're going to bank that. We'll see what happens. Josh, as always, it's an absolute pleasure.
Nice
and
one,
congrats with the England team during the World Cup. That was awesome stuff. It really was a nice insight as well. All right, so this year, Formula E has done a partnership with UNICEF. So let's once again go to Darren to get more info.
In 2021, Formula E began a 3-year partnership with UNICEF in support of their Safe and Healthy Environment Fund, with the aim to provide a clean, safe and sustainable environment for children. Ahead of the Mexico City E-Prix, I travelled to the state of Guerrero along with Formula E Sustainability Director Julia Palais to see the impact of one project in particular. Now, Mexico is a location that is really affected by climate change, and over 62% of school kids don't have access to water every day. But through this partnership, we've been able to provide something which is called the casita. As well as it providing water for the school kids, it's also an incredible educational tool, which is really, really important. I feel honoured to be here and finally get to see it on the ground. So yeah, let's go and check it out. The Casita de Agua y Energía is a rainwater harvesting system, providing water for drinking and sanitation, which has now been implemented in a number of schools across the state. Powered by solar, hydroelectric and kinetic energy, the Casita can also provide a source of electricity, the students even being able to charge their phones through it. Karen, Leonardo, it's so lovely to meet you. Now, I want to ask you both, what impact has this had in your lives?
Pues podríamos decir que demasiado impacto, porque muchos compañeros que se les acaba el agua o incluso maestros que quieren aportar con agua a su salón, es abierto a todos los momentos. Y los maestros que quieren llevar agua a su salón simplemente lo llenan con garrafones y los llevan a sus salones y sus mismos alumnos pueden tomar.
Before this started, how much did you know about climate change?
No muchos sabían, pero a través de como nosotros venimos a los cursos pudimos transmitir sobre los cambios climáticos y todo eso de lo que nos enseñaron en el curso.
What is important in this partnership and relationship is that we really share the same vision that children should be at the center and very much the focus of our societies, and we should really give the tools and empower children to become agents of change, because they are the less responsible for climate change but the most impacted by it.
Son jóvenes que quieren seguramente cambiar el mundo porque ven que el mundo está en cambio. Y que este proyecto de Casita, Agua y Energía nos da la posibilidad de tener un mundo mejor a través de la sustentabilidad en la escuela, porque la escuela es formadora de conciencias.
Tiene un gran impacto ya que aquí sufrimos mucho de agua. Nos ha generado y nos ha ahorrado dinero y pues así es una mayor facilidad para tener acceso al agua.
Pues yo sinceramente el día que me enteré pues qué es lo que íbamos a hacer, yo llegué a mi casa emocionado y le dije a mi mamá. Y me siento muy feliz porque yo les estoy empezando a compartir lo que yo estoy aprendiendo de este proyecto para que ellos también lo puedan enseñárselo a las siguientes, a sus personas, a sus amigos.
Mexico in particular was a location that Formula E really wanted to give back to, and so it's just been amazing that we're finally able to witness it in real life and see the incredible impact that's been made.
And for more information on all of that lovely stuff that we're doing with UNICEF, you can go to our website, which is abbformulae.com. Is that right?
So close, so close, Bernard.
FIAFormulaE.com.
See, I just press, like, go to my history, it's always there, you see, because I'm staying on brand, I am always on the Formula E website, I promise you. Darren, that's an amazing thing that UNICEF and Formula E are doing. Just give us a little bit more information, a more in-depth insight into that.
Yeah, I mean, Formula E is all about racing with reason, but to have had the opportunity to have just gotten out there and see the Casita de Agua in the flesh was just incredible. So essentially, it's a water harvesting system giving clean water to school kids across Mexico. And yeah, it's also used as an educational tool where they can learn about climate change, sustainability, things that we all very much care about at Formula E, of course. And yeah, it was just a really, really cool experience to get down there.
Nice. Darren, Saunders, you two, you've kind of got your ears on the ground when it comes to Formula E. The amount of content that you churn out is unbelievable. So Saunders, just give us a quick insight into what people are talking about on social media, Twitter, Instagram, our website, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, we're outside of the general hype, overwhelming hype for the start of a new season, new car, everything like that. There's a lot of love for Sam Bird. I know we heard from earlier, but I think there's a real desire for him to get back to winning ways and have that title that he's sort of been given behind the scenes as the bridesmaid just well and truly put out of the way and win a championship, because it feels like it's a long time coming, doesn't it, for Sam Bird?
Yeah, absolutely. I think last season was the only season in Formula E, and he's been in it since the start, that he hasn't had a victory.
Yeah.
You know, which is a shame, really. But anyway, onwards and upwards, sport. Like we said earlier on, tomorrow's a new day. Darren, what are we saying on Twitter? What's going on?
Yeah, lots going on Twitter, obviously. We've basically hit a reset button at Formula E with Gen 3 and Season 9. So we're all just kind of like, let's get the cars out on the track, let's get racing. So lots of hype and excitement there. No one really knows what to expect. I don't think we do either. But yeah, just exciting times ahead for tomorrow.
All right, just quickly, I'm going to interrupt. Here's a moment that we can't miss. Matt, can we just get a picture? I think that's Mitch Evans' car. It looks like they're going to put it in a bag because it looks like he's going to need a complete new front left side for tomorrow for FP2 and then the race as well. So it looks like the Jag team have got some serious work to do. Thank you, Matt, for going over there. Appreciate it. Saunders, let's carry on with social media.
Yeah, so talking about Twitter, we started asking fans about their predictions, which, you know, if you can make a prediction, fair play, because at this stage, I've got absolutely zero idea what's going to happen. But people on Twitter are not afraid to make their assumptions. We have someone here who we tweeted, you know, about the predictions, and we had someone here saying Mitch Evans will win the title. It's not started in the best way for him, but a lot of love for McLaren as well. As a new team, they've sort of brought their fan base over from other categories, and yeah, loads of confidence going into the championship. And it's like they had a crystal ball, because Jake Hughes just had a pretty good first practice session in Formula E.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so did Jev.
Yeah, and finally, yeah, there was a really good tweet from a fan of Jev, which was like, how amazing would it be to see someone for the first time win in all categories of Formula E, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3.
Yeah, very good indeed. And there was a poll as well, wasn't there, that you did about Mexico City and a highlight and best moment of the times that we've raced here?
Yeah, we asked the fans on Twitter what was the ultimate Mexico City E-Prix moment, and we've got some pretty good contenders.
Yes, we do.
We put 3 out there. We put the Degrassi last-minute overtake, which was legendary. Where, we had the moment with the Porsche 1-2 last season with Pascal Wehrlein, the team's first win, and we had that moment in season 5, which was the Nissan Energy team radio meltdown. One of my favourite bits of team radio.
One of the best things ever.
Absolutely. And we put it out there, and obviously the winner was only going to be one of them. Lucas Degrassi's overtake. I mean, it was mega, wasn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. I'm manifesting some energy like that tomorrow. What do we think?
I mean, I'll take it right now. Sign me up.
There you go, just seeing it now on the screen. All right, we're going to go over to Nikki, who's outside the Maserati garage with James Rossiter, who's the new team principal of that team, which is pretty impressive. All right, Nikki, over to you.
I am indeed. Thanks, Vernon. Yeah, amazing. So after a 60-year hiatus, Maserati returns to motorsport and joins forces with well, they were called Venturi, renamed themselves the Monaco Sports Group, creating the Maserati MSG race team. James, you are stepping in as team principal. Congratulations on that role. You're effectively the old Venturi, though, really. Edo Mortara, and you've also re-signed new driver Max Günther.
Yeah, I mean, definitely all the key personnel, engineers remain unchanged. Edo is still here, obviously, a key pillar in this team, and with Max and myself being the new boys.
Okay, so 2 new personnel, obviously under the brand of Maserati, though, so is a Maserati powertrain. As we've said over the course of this show, there is so many changes. What has it been like, from your perspective as team principal, pulling it all together, getting the car, getting the drivers ready for tomorrow's race?
Well, luckily I joined a great group of people. You know, everyone's been super helpful in my transition to becoming team principal, but also, you know, the engineers, everyone is super experienced in this team, and they've managed to pull everything together. We had a lot of work behind the scenes in the build-up to Valencia to try and gel the team with all the changes, with the new car, new software, new regulations. It's been a huge challenge, but we think we are kind of ready.
And I know you guys are a competitive team, you know, Venturi were the runners-up in last season. But with this new powertrain, one of the things we're excited about is the fact that during the course of the race, you can regen up to 50% more than the Gen 2 car. How is that going to influence what we see on track?
Well, I mean, clearly the focus is on the technology from that aspect in terms of the amount of energy we can recover is due to this amazing Gen 3 car that we have.
Yeah.
Super advanced technology in the car. A lot of challenges with the software with regenning that much extra energy. How to regen it, how to deploy it, this is what we're going to find a bit of an unknown in the race, and that's what's going to create the excitement, I think, on the Saturday afternoon.
Given the fact that this is actually really one of the first times we've probably seen this car close up, would you mind just giving us a quick tour? I mean, to be fair, this one is missing the front.
It's just been removed, the front wing, yes.
But what we're looking at here, actually, for the first time, we've got no wheel covers. How is that going to, you know, that in itself is going to change the way the cars come together?
I think it's going to change a bit the way the drivers behave. You know, before we had this very robust front wheel cover, front wing assembly. It's been replaced by a more delicate front wing, and obviously without the wheels being covered, they need to respect each other a bit more on track.
Yeah, okay. And obviously we're also looking at the brand new tyre, the Hankook tyre, which again is going to huge changes. Slightly harder. Talk us about getting
well,
that's going to influence what we see in qualifying.
The characteristics of this tyre are completely different from last year. You know, Hankook given us a tyre that's very durable in terms of race pace. It's given us a tyre that is quite challenging to get into the window. And also, I don't think any of us really understand how to get the best out of it yet. You know, I think we were very good at it in Valencia. It appears that others are very good at it here. And this is going to be a key element for our race.
Also, we used to always have a rear powertrain. You've got a front powertrain now with a motor on the front as well. Again, what are the implications of that during the race? Does that mean the drivers are going to be a little bit more respectful of the front of each other's cars? So we don't cause any damage to the front powertrain?
Possibly not. I would like to answer yes, but I don't think so. No, the software side is very challenging from the engineering perspective. How to manage your negative torque, so your braking force between the front and rear axle, using the powertrains only. This is the key thing with this Gen 3 car, and this is where a lot of the challenge is going to come from.
Love it. So much to talk about, so much analogy that we're going to be doing over the course of this weekend. James, wish you all the best, particularly in your role as team principal here at Maserati MSG. So good luck to you and the boys.
Thank you
and
so
girls
much.
as well.
Yes, lots of girls in my team.
But boys being the drivers, but to the whole team, boys and girls. Anyway, let's go over to Jack and Oliver.
That was real smooth, Nikki. Loved it. Real smooth. We are here up at the far end of the pit lane, actually, because we are with the driver who was, well, not with him, actually, he's in a debrief, but by the car, at least, that was quickest in that session, Jean-Eric Verne. We've just had free practice the first half hour, and Verne and DS Penske kicking on straight away. Not particularly surprising, I guess.
Super impressive. As Stoffel and Van Doorn struggled a little bit, but hey, at least he has that data from his teammate to look at, and I'm sure they're doing that right now. They have a lot of time from now and free practice too, that is, to look at that data and really dig in, check all the sector times from other cars down the grid, and to see where they can improve tomorrow. So we're going to see everyone down the grid really start to put everything together in FP2, and it'll be interesting to see who gets it right in qualifying tomorrow.
Yeah, someone who got it wrong there was Oliver Rowland in practice. He hit the wall. We also had René Rast hit the wall at the final corner. So those drivers who wanted a sort of quiet opening session didn't go to plan for Rowland and Rast.
No, but they're just looking for the limit, right? They
found it.
They
I can
definitely
promise you.
found it. But it was not good, but better to do that at the end of the session than the beginning, of course. Rast a bit more unlucky there. It'd be interesting to see, like I said earlier, what the stewards do about that, because it was a cut across the track that I thought was a little bit dangerous. And then, yeah, we spoke about Rowland, who just maybe missed his braking point a little bit in turn 9. And, yeah, as we see in the video here, Rast just got on the marbles a bit, maybe asking a little bit too much of the rear tires.
And then that was him cutting back across the pit lane entry, which was a bit tight with the Nissan there, but we'll see what the stewards decide, as you say. So they had big dramas. There was also quite a lot of drama at turn 1. Nothing major, but it seems like it's a tricky place to brake, but you've got that kind of get-out-of-jail-free card as well, but you've got to choose it at the right time.
Tons of runoff, and it's a perfect place to test your brakes. And I believe it's the highest braking pressure corner on the track, and that's why they're setting the ride heights for turn 1 as the front nose dives and you hit the front of the skid plate on the bottom of the car. So, yeah, perfect place to take the runoff and really test the limits of this new Gen 3 car.
That was Pascal Verlaine going straight on. That was Sam Bird going straight on at the first corner. Dan Ticktum followed him up as well. And just a quick note on the Neos, as Bird did it again a little bit later on in the session. But Neo were so impressive, 3rd quickest in the end, and they're fully back in the fight, which is great for the first time in about 6 years.
Really good to see. 2 fantastic drivers as well. Have a lot of respect for both of them, and I hope they can keep that pace up heading into qualifying. At least have a good starting spot.
One of their drivers is Dan Ticktum, who's very entertaining in the new Formula E series of Unplugged that takes you behind the scenes of all of the action from last year. You can check it out. Here's a little teaser.
These are 22 of the world's most competitive drivers.
The first race, I knew I was going to war out there.
Can you get that out of the face?
Jean-Eric is an enigma.
It's never good to see drivers fighting.
Man, Nick de Vries is a very dirty driver.
I've not won a championship for 10 years. That me off.
There's an accident!
I can't move my left hand.
That was so late, bro. Oh, sake.
And if you want more Dan Ticktum in your life, just look him up on YouTube, him playing Call of Duty, losing his temper. It's probably one of the funniest videos I've seen in a long time. Yes, the controller goes out the window, quite literally. No, then
the Peaky Blinders shoot.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
No, then you can get involved with Formula E because we want your predictions. So, Jack, quick prediction for this weekend in the prediction.
Look, I've backed DS Penske since the start, so I've just got to back DS Penske. It's a boring thing because they are the favourites, but I'm a boring man.
And you can get involved as well with the QR code that's on the screen. Just scan it with your mobile phone or your device or your tablet or whatever you use to search the internet. Scan that and get involved with the predictor. Oliver, what do you reckon?
I think I'd be wrong to go against my ex-teammate, Jake Dennis. I think it'd be fantastic for those guys to, I mean, no love lost, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Andre, but hey.
All right, go for it.
That's how it is.
Let's move swiftly on, Nikki. Let's move swiftly
All right,
on.
I'm going to go with, I mean, DS Penske are a predictably obvious choice, so I'm not going to say that, although they probably will take the win. Lucas di Grassi, because he's won here 3 times. He's actually crossed the finish line first 4 times. So 3 wins for Lucas di Grassi here. He's also competed in all of the 100 races we've had in Formula E's history. And he's just a really smart driver. And I think for the first race in this season, when there is so much going on, that is going to play to his advantage.
And you, Vernon, one word?
I'm going to... Oh!
One word?
I'm going to go with one of the old guard. Jev, Buemi, or di Grassi.
One word doesn't mean 3 words.
I know. Well, you know, it's new technology. Anyway, we go again. We qualify tomorrow morning, 9:30 local time. Check it out for now. Adios.